Well, hello! Thanks for joining me today. My name is Jeff, and today I'm going to talk about a film that was first shown on Mystery Science Theater 3000 on January 6th, 1990. It was a 1953 film called Project Moonbase, starring Ross Ford, Donna Martell, Hayden Rorke, Larry Johns, Herb Jacobs, and a few others. Now, this was the Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode in which Joel talks about ties of the future and uses Crow and Servo as models. This is also the first film in which the crew uses the famous Sea Hunt line.
By this time, my lungs were aching for air.
Isn't that a line from Sea Hunt?
Yeah.
You must.
Now, for those new to the show, while I'm talking about a film that was first shown on Mystery Science Theater 3000, I'm going to talk more about the movie and not so much about Joel and the bots, though there will be a little at the end. Now, The Hollywood Reporter on August of 1953 said of this film, Project Moonbase makes a pitch for the juvenile science fiction market, but its complete ineptitude will make it an object for the derision even from the Saturday matinee kid audience. A depressing combination of inane story, atrocious acting, and amateurish direction, this lipid release will have trouble getting bookings in the most product-starved situations. A little harsh, don't you think? Now, the film was created at the same time as Catwomen on the Moon, both sharing some of the same sets. You can see that they both use the same interior spaceship sets. They both have empty film reels on the wall. The two films were released one day apart. The film was released by the one and only Robert L. Lippert, but Mr. Lippert only released this film. He had nothing to do with the film's production. Okay, this film has a strange history of how it came to be, and it all starts with Robert A. Heinlein and a TV show called The World Beyond. Now, Heinlein lived from 1907 to 1988 and was an American science fiction author. I have to admit I've never read a book by Heinlein, but according to Wikipedia, he was among the first to emphasize scientific accuracy in his fiction and was thus a pioneer of the subgenre of hard science fiction. And you can see bits of that in the film. Anyway, he had previously written a screenplay for the 1950 film Destination Moon, and then wrote a few episodes of the TV show The World Beyond. For the pilot episode of Season 2, he wrote a screenplay called Ring Around the Moon. But the show was canceled while the episode was being filmed, so one day the producers walked in and announced that they were now shooting a feature film. Many sources explain that part of this logic might be that science fiction films were becoming very popular and the producers wanted to capitalize on that. Donna Martell, the star of the film, said that she never received a full script of the film, but was handed additional pages of dialogue during filming. And that might explain scenes like this in which Hayden Rorke seems to have trouble spitting out all his dialogue.
The station is a titanium hull with steel bracing, 350 feet in diameter. It rotates completely around the Earth in a transpolar orbit about 10 times a day.
And it also might explain some of the cheesier effects, knowing that it was made for small little 1950s TVs and not made for the big theater. Anyway, the film was produced by a man named Jack Seaman. I couldn't find any information about Jack, but he had a very short career producing films. It was Seaman who, after the production was changed from a TV show to a film, wrote the additional scenes. Heinlein left the production in disgust and pretty much disowned it and never mentioned it again. In fact, he pretty much had enough of Hollywood. It was directed by Richard Talmadge. Richard lived from 1892 to 1991. He was a stuntman and actor who turned to directing. One of his previous efforts was Detour to Danger, in which Jack Seaman was also an executive producer. Now, the star of the film is the beautiful Donna Martell. Donna was born Irene Palma de Maria on December 24, 1927, and as of this taping, is still alive at age 96. Her big break came when she was 17, when she was signed on the spot by Republic Studios to appear alongside Roy Rogers and Dale Evans in the 1947 western Apache Rose. One of her films was the 1949 classic Bud Abbott and Lou Costello Meet the Killer Boris Karloff. After Project Moonbase, she mostly did TV work until retiring in 1963. If you ask me, she's one of the best parts of the film, and I've read reviews in which they criticize her acting in Moonbase, but part of that might have been the way new pages of dialogue were constantly being given to her and a quick 10-day shooting schedule. She looks great in that outfit, which I assume was made to show off her fantastic figure. Her co-star in the film was Ross Ford as Major Bill Moore. Ross lived from 1923 to 1988 and had a long acting career. Early on, he did a lot of uncredited work, but later was a semi-regular on the Red Skelton Hour from 1961 to 1970. Folks who watch my channel might know him best from the 1957 film Reform School Girls. General Pappy Green is played by the wonderful Hayden Rorke. Hayden was born William Henry Rorke and lived from 1910 to 1987. Now let's face it, everybody from my generation will always know him as Colonel Alfred E. Bellows on the 1960s American sitcom I Dream of Jeannie. But I don't think Dr. Bellows ever threatened to spank Tony Nelson on the TV show. More about that later. Rorke often played military figures in his career. Larry Johns plays the evil Dr. Werner. Larry lived from 1903 to 1987, and as far as I can tell was one of those actors who pops up here and there but you never get to know his name. His career was over by 1961, his last appearance being in the Twilight Zone TV show. The special effects were done by Jacques Fresno. Jacques lived from 1916 to 2017 and was known as an American futurist. This was his first film and his only film until he did something called the Venus Project, the redesign of culture in 1994. Now I know some of you younger kids might laugh at the special effects in this film, but I don't have a problem with it. I'm sure that Jacques was very limited in what he could do. So what is Project Moonbase? This 60-minute thrill ride begins with a text crawl which lets the audience know that we are in the future, 1970, and that, for the safety of the world, a space station was built. But there are men out there, the enemies of freedom, who want to destroy the space station. A little social commentary on the Red Scare of the time? I would think so. And quickly after, we meet those enemies of freedom.
I have orders from the minister himself that we must not fail in destroying this perpetually menacing eye in the sky, and it must be done within 2 months.
A couple of months go by when they learn of a man who is traveling to the space station, a Dr. Werner, and a double is found. The plan is coming together. Meanwhile, General Pappy Green is making final arrangements for the first space flight around the moon in order to find a proper place for a moon base. Besides Dr. Werner, the spaceship will have Major Bill Moore and Colonel Bright Eyes, who everybody calls Bright Eyes.
Bright Eyes, if you please.
Shut up, Bright Eyes, and listen to me.
It seems that Bright Eyes and Moore used to be a couple, but now, well, things went bad after the young woman became a colonel. It appears Moore couldn't handle a female of authority, so neither of the two are happy that they're on a space flight together. Now, in some major sexism, when Bright Eyes complains, General Green threatens to put her over his knee and spank her.
Any more guff out of you, and I'll turn you over my knee and spank you.
If you do, I'll shout the whole place down.
I might add that this room is soundproof.
You wouldn't dare.
You want to try me?
Do you think the general ever threatened to spank one of his male pilots? Do you think Gene Kranz ever threatened to spank Neil Armstrong? I'm just saying. We do get a bit of scientific explanation that seems to be fairly accurate about how orbits work, and I would guess that was written by Highline. On the way to the space station, we can see that the couple are still having problems getting along.
Do you need any help?
No, thank you, Major. I'm perfectly capable of getting into the rocket myself.
4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
Eventually, our crew is on the space station, But the lack of gravity isn't a problem because they are wearing magnetic boots. And some people walk on the floor while others walk on the ceiling. But walking on the walls is forbidden. A funny joke. And people sit in all types of strange configurations. Now I know that the filmmakers wanted to show what a place with no gravity might be like, but one has to ask why? I mean, sitting like this would be awkward and also might result in a few neck problems. On the way to the moon, Dr. Warner seems a little too curious about the workings of the spaceship, but it's when Bill Moore finds out that the old doctor doesn't know about the Brooklyn Dodgers or the World Series, he must be a spy.
I suppose you're a Dodger fan, huh?
Excuse me?
Oh, I thought you used to teach in Brooklyn.
Oh, that's right, surely. I'll go below. You see if you can raise Earth.
And see, that's why the enemies of freedom will fail. Bad training. But when he tells Bright Eyes of his suspicions, the imposter hears everything. And during the fight, the spaceship is sent off course. The good guys win, but because of a lack of fuel, they must land on the moon. At the same time, Command figures out the truth about Dr. Warner. But on the moon, since they are on the far side, which in the film is incorrectly called the dark side, they might be in big trouble. Bright Eyes has a moment of weakness, but then apologizes for going female on him.
Sorry to have gone female on you, Major. I didn't mean to take advantage of it.
What? And while we're on the subject, what are those silly skull caps for? Protection? I don't think so. Anyway, they figure a moonwalk with the fake Dr. Warner is necessary to set up an antenna, as this is the only way to contact Space Command. To make a long story short, the fake Dr. Warner slips and falls, causing his immediate death. Moore barely makes it back to the ship.
Let down the hoist one.
Once they contact Control, and Control learns the couple are stranded on the moon together, they have a request.
Public opinion being what it is, it'd be a lot better for everyone, for the country, for the service, and for you, if you two were married.
What?
Now, think it over, boy.
What? Two members of the opposite sex can't work together in isolation without being married? What? Of course, this is the 1950s, so. And look how excited Bright Tice is, because like all women of the 1950s, all she wants to do is get married, right? Look, she wants so bad for him to ask, but...
If you could,
Could what, Bill?
well, I mean, could you,
Yes.
oh, skip it, but we'll take it up later.
By the power vested in me, I pronounce you man and wife.
And to make matters worse, Moore is promoted to a brigadier general while Bright Tice, well, she doesn't get promoted. Because it's only right that the man in the relationship has a higher rank than the woman, I guess. Now this is her idea. I think this is her way of apologizing for taking her job as a colonel seriously. So anyway, it's just weird. But surprise, when we meet the president, she's a woman. Hey, do you think we might actually have a female president by the year 1970? What year is it again? Now the whole end of the film seems rather rushed, but that might have something to do with making a TV show into a film. I don't know for sure. The music for this film is actually really good, and one of the best parts of the film. It was composed by Herschel Burke Gilbert, who did a lot of TV and film music scores. Herschel lived from 1918 to 2003. Now as far as their space outfits, They're hardly the type that you would expect astronauts to be wearing, with goofy little skull caps and pixie boots. But beyond that, and many have written about this, the tight t-shirts and small shorts were designed to show off Donna Martell's figure. And it's probably true, and I'm not complaining, but I will point out that it has the same effect on Ross Ford for those who are attracted to that sort of man. As for Mystery Science Theater 3000, this isn't considered one of the best episodes. In fact, when people rank them, it's usually near the bottom, but I think that's true for most of the first season episodes. Now, 5 minutes were cut out of the film, so when you watch it, you are seeing almost the complete movie.
Sector number 12.
Inspector 12, he checked my underwear.
Hey, who hasn't?
Sector number 13, come in, please.
Wow, how futuristic.
Oh, that phone bill's gonna be enormous.
We have information on the next...
Spackham, wood fill and meat substitute.
We built this city of Spackham.
Instead of rock and roll?
Yep.
Now that we have a space station,
Or frisbee?
it is at last possible to send a ship
Or
station
batteries?
all the way around the moon.
Or playground ball?
Mexico to Lock 3, disembarking.
Hey, don't cross the split screen.
Art design by M.C. Escher. Look, they're using Viewmaster technology.
Oh. Battery pack separating from frisbee.
While Bright Eyes relaxes in the chase lounge, Jim will attempt to subdue the angry spy.
Wow, that ship's only 3 feet away. It looks like a model from here. Well, it is. What? Sleeping on the job again, huh?
Looks like we got another fish tank for the ship.
By this time, my lungs were aching for air.
Isn't that a line from Sea Hunt?
Yeah.
You must.
Seems to me you used to be pretty sweet on her way back when.
Nice
Well, that was
kid,
before she
kind of
got
nosy,
promoted.
though.
Tell me the truth, Bill, I gotta know.
This rocket was supposed to go to the Catwomen of the Moon.
Well, let's see what we got here. 145 caliber handgun, 4 clips of ammunition, $100 in gold coins, 2 packages of chewing gum, 2 issue prophylactic. Shoot, guy could have a pretty good time in Vegas with this stuff.
I love the smell of Spackham in the morning. It smells like chicory.
If you can solve this puzzle, you can get married.
Don't go away, kids. The President of the United States wants to speak to you.
I wonder what he'll have to say.
Huh? Can you hear me?
No. Put the president on, not his wife.
You know, a lot of these films were released and then forgotten, and besides all the laughs we get on Mystery Science Theater 3000, I think it's important to remember that we probably would have never seen these films if it wasn't for that classic show. Anyway, Donna Martell said of this film, "When I think about my career, I can understand why Project Moonbase and many other films like that are held so dear in the hearts of fans. I'm proud to be a part of that bygone period." Now, I want to thank everybody who left wonderful comments last week. I really appreciate it. And I also want to welcome in all the new subscribers. Thank you so much for taking the time to subscribe to my channel. It always is a wonderful, unexpected surprise when somebody actually subscribes to this little thing that I do. So anyway, next week I'm going to do the 1990 post-apocalyptic science fiction film, Robot Holocaust. Hey, it'll be nice to finally do a movie that was made during my lifetime. Now, as soon as I get done here, I'm going to head off to Indiana to check out the solar eclipse. It's about 4 hours away, and that's the closest place I can go to see the eclipse in totality. And I hope you'll do me a favor and cross your fingers that there are no clouds on Monday. The way the weather's been around here lately, it's bound to be cloudy, but I'm going to take that chance. Anyway, thank you all again. You're wonderful. I always appreciate everything and anybody who wants, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, take care. So long. See you next week. Bye.